Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Livewire with Lady Spitfire. My name is Lady Spitfire, and with me is Kick-Ass. He's over in the corner hiding,
I'm over here.
playing around with question number 6. We won't go over what that is. Tonight we are back in action. We're doing these awesome interviews with bands from around the world. For those of you who don't know us, we do a lot of indie bands because commercials overrated and I'm sick of it. So I'm done listening to Eminem and Iggy Glenn. But tonight we're gonna go completely out of the box. Tonight we have Now Defunkt with us. We've got Anastasia, we've got Steve, we've got Scott, and I don't know who number 4 is down there in the my left hand corner.
Hey,
I'm
James.
Nico. And Nico.
Nico. Awesome. So let's go round robin. We'll start with Steve. Tell us what you do in the band and just do like little brief bios about yourselves.
So I'm the master of time, space, and dimension. No, just kidding. I guess I'm the guitar player in the band. I write some of the songs. I do some of the lyrics. I construct some of the songs. I've written a couple of songs for some of the other band members. Basically, the Now Defunkt story goes back 30 years and has been unfolding for that time period. Started a long time ago trying to understand how a Bauhaus song worked and trying to teach the bass line to Scott, and started many moons ago, and we've been unfolding ever since. And the beginning of March, we shot a video for Scott's song, Death Valley Scotty, and that really kind of kick-started the whole program, which we did a Kickstarter program, pressed the vinyl. It's been an amazing experience. So that's kind of what I do in the band.
Excellent. Scott, how about you?
Yeah, hi. Everyone in the world, greetings, salutations, como stai? Welcome to the end of 2020. We're hoping 2021 will shine a little brighter. Mostly what I do in this band, I'm sort of like the barista. I just serve up double espressos, make sure we have
Yeah, they're good too.
Can't have bean. And, just what we try to do is just set a table for this collection of defunctness to have a way to create goodness in the world.
Excellent. What about Nico? Is this your daughter?
Yeah, I'm Scott's daughter. I contributed a song, and I also helped taking photos and videography for the band. And
very cool.
Out.
And how about James?
I do mainly writing bass parts, some production, but kind of writing and playing and feeling pretty grateful that I get to be part of the group. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, no, it's good. I feel like I don't really contribute that much, but I do some writing, and but most of it's bass playing.
Very nice.
Trying to work that magic.
My husband's favorite name.
Thank you. I couldn't spell it until 3rd grade. I don't spell any of my name. It's a ridiculous name. I'm grateful for it now, but at the time I could not. I'm Steve's daughter, and then I kind of like Nico. How this whole thing started is my dad just called me, and I've known Scott pretty much my whole life, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Scott wrote the song. We're gonna shoot a music video. Do you want to shoot it?" And I was like, okay. And I had no intention. And then it just ended up, turning into an album. But I helped shoot the music video. And then I wrote a song and sang like Nico, and then did some photography.
Very nice. Yeah, Glenn used to play guitar, which we're working on getting him
Back.
playing again, which is taking forever because he just built 2 ukuleles for us, which
It's my fingers.
it's cute. It's
cool.
fingers that
Cool.
can't function.
Mhm.
And I've played piano since I'm 5 years old, so I know what it's like to get up there, and you're playing and you're going at it, and then when it comes to writing a song, it's like, okay, I'm going to hire some friends to do my songs from Facebook updates and dirty journals. Yeah, it's all good. So
You say dirty journals?
I did.
I want to read it.
I'm kidding. So, Steve, if someone were to ask your band, what other famous bands would you be compared to? Who would you pick?
Jeez, that's a
I know
tough question. Where Mamas and the Papas, the Family
America.
Tree,
name.
Arlo Guthrie, Neil Young,
Yes, Neil Young.
Sly and the Family Stone would probably come
I
to
love
mind,
that
and they
band.
just because of how connective that they are and they were, as far as a group and
Fantastic.
being a family unit, because that's really what I feel Now Defunkt is a family. The way we communicate with each other and the way we're able to go ahead and build songs and how they start out, the small kernel, and then handing it off to another band member and handing it back and constructing the song in a way where everybody contributes on every song and everybody's contributed on almost every video that we've done. And from Scott sending out 200 different emails to radio stations all across the world, to James being the master blaster and the best bass player on the planet, Anastasia and Nico's incredible songs that they brought to the table, Creeping Cthulhu and Teachers, and it's just been an amazing, amazing experience. So yeah, I'd have to go with Sly and the Family.
Very cool.
Hey, Lucia, I think one way I would answer that is I would quote Alejandro Miranda, who was the choir director who did the choir orchestration for the song Big Water. He's from Venezuela. And he said, your music is like watching a Fellini film if it was scored by Joy Division, Neil Young, and Rare Earth. Your music is very cinematic. Your music is very cinematic, but you can tell this band is deeply committed to the song.
Nice. Now, what's your question?
Good way to put it.
If we are any Neil Young fans, have you ever heard of a 1982 album called Trans? Neil Young.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, man.
Sure. Yeah.
Have
Sure.
you heard of this?
Yep.
You can't get it today. I tried.
That's what's amazing. That's amazing about folks like Neil Young. He's always innovating. He's always evolving. He's a major accomplishment. He's not afraid to try. He's gonna do what he wants to do, whether you like it or not.
True.
The album was very futuristic in 1982. I actually had tickets to see him at the Philadelphia Spectrum with this tour, and a snowstorm wiped us out.
Oh.
Neil Young Trans.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, shut up.
Hey, Glenn,
Yeah.
listen to Trans and then listen to a song that Steve wrote on this album called On the Dial. There's this, because even though the Trans album is very futuristic, Neil Young picks up on some sort of AM radio, almost rockabilly vibe in some of his songs.
I love rockabilly.
That's what Steve's flavor of On the Dial.
I love my transistor radio.
That's an interesting album too. That was his transition from his folk acoustic stuff into the 80s world, and it largely got panned by most of the guys out there, but it definitely has some good meat on it. Like most of his albums, he does a lot of stuff that like Scott said, is not well received at the time but later loved.
Absolutely.
Nice. So Scott, tell us about what life was like before the pandemic, and James can then tell us what it's been like during the pandemic for you guys.
Yeah, well, it was talked about a couple times. We went out to Joshua Tree, California to shoot this video for Death Valley Scotty, and that was at the last week of February.
It's a great song.
And while we were out there, we were sitting around the campfire. We started coming up with other ideas for other songs, and then Steve just kept bugging us, "Hey, we should do more." And I had checked off my bucket list. Hey, I that was the first song that I've ever written completely. We wrote it, we recorded it, we have a video. I'm done. I got to go back to what I do. I'm a university professor. I've got papers to grade. Right? I'm come on. But Steve was like relentless, like from the movie Usual Suspects. One job, Stop being such a tough guy, Mickey.
One job.
One job. Yeah. So a couple others. So we us, and then we set the table for songs. Then I'll let James take it from here. We had to learn how to collaborate, how to communicate, how to integrate and create while we were all in exile. We were all isolated.
That's right.
Yeah.
We and you know what's amazing, and I think it's mostly attributed to the personality, the dopeness, and the defunctness of the people in the room. And I'm going to let other people tell the story how we got the name Defunkt, because that was also a transition into pandemic times.
Oh, nice. All right, James, you're up.
Yeah, so it was, the whole pandemic thing has been really interesting, but because we had already kind of started the project. Just with Scott actually kicked everything. Scott is like the kingpin of like the whole project, really. So don't let him not talking about it's actually Scott and Steve. You know, Scott came down from Seattle to California. Was like, hey, help me write this song. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the next thing you know, we're shooting a video for it, and then like maybe a week or two after that, Steve starts sending like all these files, and then probably right around that time is when the pandemic hit, like at the beginning of it. And from then until like August or so, like we just files were just like flying back and forth,
Awesome.
and everyone's on separate secrets, like little groups, like what do you think, what do you think, and so you had like constant like emails, texts, everything, kind of going back and forth. And it was actually Case was the one that was doing like the bulk of the producing, and then I kind of got my hands in on some of it and took some of the files and was trying to kind of shape some of the stuff and turn it into songs. So, I mean, it was definitely a collaborative event, but for the most part, like I think the bulk of the pandemic so far has really been just us writing and really having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, like
Awesome.
in a nutshell.
So, Anastasia, has your band done any live streaming before or during the pandemic? Have you streamed live on Facebook? Because we're seeing a lot of bands are doing the live stream feature for people, and they're charging, like $1 to watch the show, stuff like that.
Or just collaborating and making a
Exactly.
song, and people are in different places around the world. Have you done it?
We live stream like an album release party where we kind of spent
very cool
deep dive into the album. But I don't think we've done anything. We should do that. I know they've mentioned they want to tour, but I don't. Whenever the pandemic is with and people can actually travel, and all that stuff. But yeah,
nice. And I have a question for Nico too. See, I posed all my questions for all of you with the help of this one. What do you think life is going to be after the pandemic? Like, because we're here and now. We love to travel. We're big foodies. We travel. We vlog. We have massive shenanigans on our YouTube channel. We're nuts at the age of 46 and 55. And
how old are you?
46.
You might get replaced.
Yeah, right. You just married me. You can't replace me. Get out of here. So seriously, what do you think life is going to be like after the pandemic? Do you think it's going to be normal like it was in February? Or do you think it's going to be a new normal where everybody's going to be dictating, no, you can't do this, and no, you can't do that?
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, there was like a narrative of things will go back to normal. But since we've been in the lockdown for so long, I don't think there is any going back to normal. And I think there's going to be a new normal and like a new shift of like society, I guess. And I don't think it's going to be like dictative of, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. I think definitely around flu season, there's probably going to be some new
restrictions.
Yeah, restrictions or just like etiquette like maybe some like more mask wearing when it's like flu season, and probably a lot more like just like distance. And I know a lot of people have been saying like they don't ever want to take the mask off because they've been like while shopping they have like weird facial expressions, or like they're talking to themselves like under their mask. They're like, I don't want to take it off because then like people will see that. So
have you noticed, and this is for anybody to answer, but one thing that Glenn and I have noticed is people don't look at people anymore. People don't really engage in conversation. It's like you're walking by and somebody's walking by and that's it. They don't even look at you. They don't make eye contact. They don't do nothing.
Well, I live in Seattle, and there's like a phenomenon here called Seattle Freeze. And basically, even before the pandemic, like everyone kind of just like not ignores each other, but like there's definitely like like there's some sense of community, but like on the street, people just pass each other.
Yeah.
And more recently, like post pandemic, I feel like there's been actually more connection with strangers. Like there's been more like waving or like saying hi to people. And I think because like we're all at home, and when we do come out into public, we like want to socialize because people haven't really had that opportunity to socialize.
Right.
So it's kind of been the opposite here. Like there is still like, I guess, ignoring people or like doing like your own thing, but there's a little more than there has been in the past of like seeing people and like noticing them and like, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think, dealing with this biological virus, it also was amplified by dealing with the racist virus that has infected this country, right?
Yeah. Bad.
And there's been a lot of uprising. And what I've been amazed with is how the youth have really stepped up and created probably the best voice for leadership than what we're hearing from who should be leading this country, right? And so when Nico says seeing people, I think this creates an opportunity for us to maybe unveil our privilege, hopefully see each other in a way that we haven't been able to, because these voices are powerful, and it's these youth voices that I think are going to really set the tone for what happens post pandemic, if there is such a thing.
Right. Now, how about your lockdown out there? Do they have a strict lockdown with your governor, like when it comes to like dining in, takeout and whatnot? Because out here in PA, our governor has shut down all the businesses that have dine-in. They can only do takeout and delivery. But a lot of the businesses are saying, no, governor, we're going to still keep the dine-in. And some of them are doing them at 50%. And people are afraid, which I don't blame them. But me, on the other hand, for being a post-COVID survivor, I will walk in and I will support any local business that's going to do it. What's it like out there for you guys?
Well, I think, some of those businesses, and particularly the arts, particularly musicians, have been really hit hard. There's no simple way to say it. It's a messed up, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to cuss in this broadcast.
You can cuss all you want.
It's been a mucked up situation, big time. I think the governor and the leadership of the state is actually trying to use the language. We need to grow the economy, but we need to do it in a way where we're not growing the virus.
Right.
And can we be smarter about this?
Right.
But things are stricter right now in terms of the amount of people in a location.
Right.
Just because of the nature of the growth. So until I think we get to a point where more people are doing the right thing, and a vaccine hopefully is around the corner, we can get through this, because the fear is we don't want to put the people who are most at risk at more risk.
Right. I agree. So
California is in lockdown too for the most part. Like I've been furloughed most of the year, and then I know James is in LA, and LA has been, and you guys have been shut down pretty
Severe
much
lockdown.
year.
Yeah.
I hear LA is really bad.
It was I went up there in like maybe August, September, and it was like I was in Silver Lake, which is like super busy, downtown Silver Lake, trying to get pizza at like, it was like a Wednesday at 11 p.m. Like every time I've been to Silver Lake, there's people everywhere. Like it's LA, and it was so weird. I've never seen it that empty. It was crazy, and it was still, it's just crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of hot spots up here by us that, they're like little hot spots because they're like local bars that really push local music, like V-Spot Bar, Thirsty Teas Bar and Grill, Levels Bar and Grill. So, this lockdown is really hitting us hard. For me, post-pandemic, I think things are going to go back to a semi-normal. But my main concern is I want to go see bands again. Like,
Yeah.
I've been to so many different bands, including in Germany.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I want to see with the local bands. Like I get that these big mainstream acts, they've been around for a while. And like even these newer ones coming out, excuse my French, I'm a big hate Cardi B fan. I don't like her, but people like her and their similar ones that are coming out, they have all these fans already. And it's like, all right, who did you pay off? And why are the local bands have to build their way up and work harder than you when all you want to do is sing about a wet pee? Like it doesn't make sense. Anastasia knows where I'm coming from.
Well, our hope, yeah, and our hope, and this is part of our now defunct strategy, is coming out of COVID, whatever this new normal may turn out to be, is there'll be more attention and more care given to the hyper local,
right,
to those local bands, and those smaller bands, because what people are craving is that connection. People are craving wanting to be each other, and music has just such a way to touch hearts and touch souls.
That's right.
But can we do it? But how do we do it so the bands can just make it through this, and then have a platform to be able? So we really appreciate, Lucia, what you and Glenn are doing with these platforms to provide an opportunity for folks to share, because we all need to do a better job of amplifying those little voices. I mean, I went to Sunday school. This little light of mine, got to let it shine, right?
Well,
I didn't mean to go there.
To get back to Now Defunkt real quick, that's what's been amazing about this project is that we weren't a band before all this started. It happened by happenstance and friendship and new friends, and we've been able to go ahead and create an album, create a lot of buzz, and create all of this through the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see as well if this becomes a new venue for people to go ahead and produce music, which I hope it does too, but it's been, I have a good friend of mine that lives in Seattle, Andy Rowe, and he's just started up a band management company, and they've been reduced. He won't have a job again for another year. So the local venues have been hit extremely hard. So Scott's right. We need to go ahead and support those places and those people.
Awesome. So people can find you on nowdefunkt.com.
Yes.
Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube. Am I missing anything? I think I'm missing Bandcamp, right?
Bandcamp.
I don't know if you can see. I have to turn my screen off to be able to show this to you, but our vinyl has just come out.
Oh my God.
We produce vinyl, and I mailed you some copies, so you'll be able to share them with your people. Yeah.
That is going to go up on my wall in my music room. I know you guys can't see it, but when we moved in this house was a very musical house before we moved in, and we transformed our dining room into a music room. And right now, hanging on my wall is a signed LP by Cheap Trick that I got for a birthday present. This one is going right next to it. So
awesome.
If you can get some people to sign that, it's going on my wall.
Yeah. And what you'll see is that the story of the band. I lost my microphone. Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you.
The story of the band is told in text. We saved all the text that we shared with each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, Steve or James, tell the story of how we got the name Now Defunkt.
Let's hear from James.
Go first. I was gonna say Steve's got the better rendition.
Oh,
Man.
you just want to
Hey, I think it's actually him and Scott that ended up doing the whole dialogue about the name.
We were texting back and we were texting back and forth, and I believe I texted Scott. We were like, "Hey, what's a good band? We could come up with a band name." And I suggested a couple things. I suggested the Commonwealth, which quickly got thrown out, and then I suggested the Family Tree, which was a band. And Scott says, "Hey, is that a band?" And I looked it up online, and I said, "Yeah, it's 1973, Now Defunkt." And Scott replied back, "Hey, Now Defunkt, that's a good name." And then we turned it over to James and the rest of the group, and everybody agreed that we go with the Now Defunkt line. It's just been it's been kind of the staple of who we are, in the sense that now we've become Now Defunktness, and the Now Defunktness is, beautiful accidents happen, and when they happen, you got to go ahead and take advantage of them.
Nice. That is fantastic. Glenn, do you have anything else you want to add for the band?
I love the nostalgia. Keep it coming back. We love you guys. Take care of yourself.
Thanks.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming by. So for those of you that are watching this video, you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com for Lucia and Glenn. And if you like what you saw tonight, you want to get some more of our shenanigans, and I will warn you, some of them are a little R-rated, some are PG-13. Subscribe to our channel, give us a like, throw some comments what you like, what you don't like, and you can also find their music on our podcast over at anchor.fm, Lucia and Glenn, and on our YouTube channel. You can find their video showcased with 2 other bands. So I want to thank you all for doing this tonight.
Thanks, Lucia.
And it was
thank
Grazie, grazie, grazie.
There you go.
Thank you.
And shout out to Maris for this design. She couldn't
Yeah,
get
there
this
you go.
Yeah.
Now Defunkt lives.
Yeah.
Now Defunkt next.
There you go,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye.
Take
Merry
care.
Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.